Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it Answer to a Comment and the Invisible Ladder. Okay, what happened is that somebody made a comment and I just wanted to address it briefly, and also so I don't leave you just hanging with only that comment, because really it doesn't add anything more than what we've been talking about in these videos. Then we're going to add to that comment what I refer to as the invisible ladder, and you see what I'm talking about. So anyhow, here's what happened. I uploaded a video number 98, which is titled There is no relationship with the self. And the reason why I made that video is because relationship implies duality. However, I'll put the link on the description and watch the video. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. But after, on that video, I read a comment that is very valid. Actually, the comment it's right on the money, but the problem is that the person misunderstood the video or didn't hear something in it, and therefore he or she, I don't know, well, made this comment. So I'm going to tell you what the comment is. I'm going to briefly tell you how I responded in writing, and then we'll elaborate, and then we'll talk about the invisible ladder and everything. And the comment says, you say I am is the self. Ramana Maharshi has something else to say. Present feeling of I am is not the self. The source from which it arises and merges into is the self, which is true. Present I am feeling comes and goes. It is not there is a deep sleep, hence it cannot be reality. This I is the first thought, hence basis of the mind, hence it is called ego. It is imagination of the self, a reflection of the self in the mind. Hence, enlightenment is a happening when the ego consciously merges back into the self by the grace of the self. Okay? Yes, I totally agree with the person, because in reality, the sense of I, the I am, is not a feeling, it's not a sensation, it's not an experience, it is what is. However, the person says that I say I am is the self. I never said that. And that's what I respond. I said I am is the self. I did not say that the feeling I am is the self. See the difference? As an individual or feeling, I cannot say I am. This is the limitation of language. See where the message is pointing to, and don't let the conceptual mind interfere with concepts. I like to add usually that because the comment is valid. I just wanted to reiterate and let the person know that I never said that I am is the self in terms of experience. I am is. This is what is. That's just all there is. But it's not a personal experience. You see, the self is totality, and that's what I always say. If you're first to this channel, new to this channel, is what I mean. The description, and you're going to notice that there's 4 videos that I suggest you watch, especially the first one, which is the introduction, will give you an idea of where these videos are pointing to. So the self is something we cannot talk about. It's impossible, because talking about it will be coming from the perspective of this seeming experience, which is separation. We're pointing to what is. We're not trying to tell you what it is. We're just simply recognizing, and again, this is the challenge with language. Who would be recognizing anything? There's nothing to recognize. It's just what is, and it's not personal, and it's not dualistic. Simply is. So what I am is prior to anything, prior to the sense of I am. You see, to the sense of I am as a person or as something. So we're pointing in that direction. So a lot of times, sometimes people make comments, and that's fine, but the thing is that see if the message is resonating to the point that you can integrate it. Again, there's no you integrating anything, but again, limitation of language, and see if it serves. Let's not get caught into trying to explain what Ramana said or the other one says, because this is not an intellectual thing. I'm not trying to get into any kind of debate or any kind of, I'm just simply pointing something that it's happening, life through me inspires for this information. Same thing would happen again, with information that comes from Ramana or Nisargadatta or Krishnamurti or Buddha or Jesus. The information is not to debate or to talk about it. The information is to see if there's a resonance. Otherwise, the mind engages and try to stay here and uses all these different philosophies or so to keep engaging at this conceptual level, remaining as a separate entity who now assumes or thinks that it knows something. Again, don't worry about what others say. Just see if any of the information that is being shared here somehow is resonating. That's the most important thing. But once again, this comment is absolutely true. I agree 100% with it. It's just that the person misunderstood the video, and somehow it says that I am suggests that I am is the self as a personal thing, and no, I am is not the self in a personal basis. I am is the self, but the feeling I am is just, again, who is feeling it, you see? For me to say I am or I feel that I am, just the fact that I am saying it is not it, you see? So again, this points to silence. It points to the recognition that is not a personal recognition. Again, no one is recognizing anything because there is no one. All that there is what is. And this is where these videos are pointing to. And once again, watch the first video so you can see laying down the foundation, and you may want to watch these 4 videos that I suggest. Now, when I mean that every step is an imaginary ladder, is that in these videos there may be 1 or 2 that I feel inspired to talk about a particular topic, let's say something about forgiveness or so, and I did one video in which I created a imaginary conversation between 2 people, and one telling the other person, I feel angry because of blah blah blah, and the other person say, well, remember that what I did is not my fault. I didn't do it on purpose. I love you just as much as you can possibly imagine, but remember that I was placed here to do this so you can look at what is in you that needs to be healing. You see, it's kind of a conversation, and it's just basically a seeming conversation. But even though I talk about this video at the beginning, I make very clear that these videos are pointing to non-duality. They're pointing to what is beyond form or shape. But somehow these kinds of topics arises, and I just honor that maybe it could serve. So I make sure that we don't mix here the duality, non-duality. So again, I always make those distinctions, and I'll say it at the beginning so at least you know and become conscious that for some reason that topic was addressed. So what do I mean by the invisible ladder? What I mean by that is that in this journey, if you want to call it journey, I mean there's really no journey because all that there is what is, but as we appear to be this separate entity, it seemed as though people have to go through certain steps. Usually, most of the time, that's the way it is. It doesn't have to be that way, but sometimes it is like that. Not because the person is choosing it, but that is how consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, is expressing through this seeming individual. In some individuals, they have a spontaneous awakening, if you want to call it that way. Again, the problem with language is that no one is going to awake. There's not an awakening because you already are. That's it, you see. But again, within the limitations of language and within the context in which appear to be, it seems as though people have to go through different stages. Someone has to start with the typical metaphysical of manifestation, so it can go beyond the belief that I'm just this separate entity. Maybe there's something more. They have to go through that until that no longer works, you see. And then they go on through the different steps of the ladder, you see, to try to reach the place that you already are. So technically speaking, you go through the different steps of the ladder, so when you reach the recognition that you are, there also the recognition that the ladder never existed. You see, it's like if you're in bed sleeping And then in the dream, you're dreaming that you have to do certain steps, certain practices, which is fine. It's just part of the journey, right? Or the seeming journey. But in the dream, it seems like you have to do that so you can finally begin to withdraw the attention from the dream. And when you withdraw the attention from the dream, you realize, oh my God, it was a dream. So all the things that I thought I had to do in the dream, they were not necessary because I have always been in bed. So that's why I respect and I honor everyone's steps. Some people have to have goals. They have to pursue their dreams. I will never tell them not to pursue your dreams or anything, saying, no, that's illusion. It's not going to serve you because in the end, it's not going to satisfy you. No, go ahead and have the experience. Go pursue the dreams, have the money, have all the things you want, and then see, hey, maybe in your journey you're still supposed to enjoy them. But if for some reason you have acquired all those things, or the opposite, meaning that you've tried everything and somehow it's not working for you and you're frustrating, there's a point where we can meet, you see, because there's the pendulum that swings to one end, and there's the pendulum, the same pendulum swinging to the other end. But eventually you have to come to the realization that the pendulum itself is resting in you, and you have overlooked the fact that you are, and your attention is on the pendulum, and that's what generates the discomfort and the fear and the confusion, you see. So now, once you taste the pendulum of the good thing, you know that the pendulum has to swing to the other end. So there's no such thing as a permanent good thing. You always have to, it's just like the pendulum swing this end and you're trying to hold it there, but the pendulum is designed to go back to the other end. You see, that's what the pendulum does. But the only way the pendulum is swinging between these two is because something is giving it force. The pendulum will not stay like that for the rest of eternity because it's designed, call it gravity or whatever, is designed to rest in the center. The pendulum is resting in the center because you are the center, not you as a center, and everything else is, but again, limitation of language, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just using this as an example. The pendulum is not designed to swing. The only way the pendulum can swing is when there's energy given to it. You see, you have to push it. When you give the energy, then the pendulum swings, and then you give the energy, swings to the good thing. Now you want to hang on to the good thing, but it cannot because this force of gravity is going to force it to go back to the other end. And the problem is that the more energy you give it to the good thing, the more energy is going to have to go to the opposite. You see? So that's why some people say some great things could happen, but man, when the catastrophe shows up, it's as hard as the seeming good one. You see what I'm talking about? Other people may have a pendulum a little bit lighter. Oh, they have a little bit of pleasure, but then a little bit of pain, a little bit of pleasure. Because Nisargadatta used to say, pleasure is the bridge between two pains. That's the pendulum. These videos are about peace. You see, these videos are about resting in that peace. When you rest in that peace, you're not giving no longer power to the pendulum. And of course, the pendulum doesn't have the energy to swing. Now, the mind may interpret that as boring. It's not boring, it's peace, which is very different. Boring is the pendulum swinging still, because it has a concept that life should be exciting and everything. So see, it's because, and that concept that life should be exciting is what is giving energy to the pendulum. You see? The idea that life has to be in a particular way, because it seems like everybody lives that way, that's the pendulum. But when you rest in the presence that you are, then the pendulum has no energy and it rests in what you are, and that is peace. See? Now the difference is that as you rest in that peace, you're happy, you're fulfilled, you don't need anything else. And if for some reason in the world of appearances you seem to have certain things that appear in your life that you can enjoy, you'll enjoy them to the fullest. But you're not attached to any of it. You see? You enjoy everything, but you're not attached to any of it. because your enjoyment is not derived by what you do. Your fulfillment, enjoyment, happiness, it's already what you set in. Then everything that happens in there, it's an opportunity to express what it's already within you. It just so happens that in this particular moment there's a particular experience or situation that is showing up, but you see, you remain, you see, and that's what it is. And one movie that I suggest you watch, if you haven't seen it, strongly suggest you watch it. It's called The Wizard of Oz. See, in The Wizard of Oz, I can say this, it's not that I'm giving it away, but you can still enjoy the same, but now you can look at it with these new eyes. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, in her house in Kansas, all of a sudden gets hit. There's a hurricane, you know, type, I don't know, hurricane, cyclone, whatever, and then a door, you know, hits her. She gets hit in the head with that door. The moment she's hit, she falls into a deep sleep, right? Now, here's what happens. In the movie, her house seems to land in the land of Oz, and she wakes up in the land of Oz. But here's the trick. You, the viewer, also fall into that trick, because she's falling into sleep, and the moment she lands in the land of Oz, you forgot that she's sleeping, and you think that she landed in the land of Oz. You see? So the land of Oz, it's all a dream that is happening in her mind, but you, the viewer who's watching the movie, are believing the whole drama because you think that she woke up in the land of Oz, but the truth is she never woke up anywhere. It's all a dream. It's like what is happening in here, you see? So then at the end of the movie, the good witch, when she's trying to go home, and they said if you go to the land of Oz, you'll be able to get back. Notice that how the Wizard of Oz gets on the hot air balloon, but then he leaves, and then she thinks she's going to be stuck in there. So the good witch would represent our inner, you know, the inner knowing that we are, right? But of course, in the dream, it has to take a shape. Like right now, you are, and in this dream, the shape that life is taking could be a book that reminds you of who you are. Could be this video reminding you of who you are. That's the seeming shape, because you think you are a shape, so you may be able to relate to other shapes. But this information is not coming from me. It's coming from you, because you are, but not you as a person, not you as a shape, you as totality. So anyhow, what the good witch says, no, you've always been home. All you have to do is turn inward and say to yourself, there's no place like home. You see, click the heels 3 times. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. But she was inviting her to turn inward. You see? And as she turned inward, what happened? She was withdrawing the attention from illusion. And then she wakes up from the dream and realized that she was dreaming. Well, the same thing here. We're inviting here to turn inward, meaning that withdraw attention from the false. And what is false? Everything that your mind is trying to tell you, every thought is false. You are. That's why this is something we cannot talk about. Right now, I always say in these videos, if you do not identify with the content of the mind, I mean, if you don't identify with any thoughts, what is left? What is left is not going to be heaven or whatever, the kingdom. What is left is the inner peace that is resting in there, which is not inner, but so inner or outer, but again, just limitation of language. The peace in which you rest no matter what. See, the peace that passes all understanding, that is what is left. And this is practical. This is what these videos are pointing to, because truth is, and is beyond this seeming appearance, but at least you can live a life in peace, happy, because you don't identify with the content of the mind. If you don't believe you're thinking, you're at peace, you're happy. And this is practical. However, at the beginning, some people may try to use their thinking to manipulate the world of appearances, and that's what I said, they seem to have to go through steps. It seems like they have to eat the whole world before they are ready to let it go. Well, these videos are for those who are ready to let it go. There are no those, there's no others. It's just basically, again, since it appears that there's a me saying something, well, again, we use that language, or this language is used to be reminded that you are. So right now, if you don't identify with the content of the mind, what is left? Don't answer. If you answer, you're back in the mind. And again, this is why we're not trying to seek for answers. We're just noticing what is obvious. You see? And again, if I'm saying now you're noticing the obviousness, the I am, in that sense, the person can make a comment. No, that's not the I am. Yeah, conceptually, it's not the I am, but I'm pointing to the closest to the I am within the seeming illusion. Because in the end, the I am, it simply is the disappearance of all that is perceptual of duality, is the waking up from the dream. However, while you are in the dream, well, there's a way of living in it that is not of it. And that is when you don't believe the content of the mind. That's how you can rest in the I am, you see? And this is maybe, again, why a person may make a comment. You cannot rest in the I am because the I am is prior to the experience. Yes, I know. I already addressed that at the beginning of the video. So, see, you rest. This is what I mean. And you don't have to say I'm resting in the I am. If the language confuses you and you want to get into that, then let's just make it simple. Just rest. Don't believe the content of the mind. And what is left? What is left, or should I say what remain, is what is. What has always been and what it'll always be, which is non-conceptual, is not of this world. However, within this seeming appearance and the limitation of language, that's as far as we can go. Just be. Beingness. That's all there is. Well, this is the inspiration that came through this instrument, and I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.